Hello, everyone. Welcome, welcome. Hey, hey, Kaylee. Good morning to everyone who it's morning for. How is everybody? Happy full moon. Hey, Kelly. Welcome, welcome. Happy to see you, Leah. Welcome. How's everybody doing? Today I have the London fog that I talked about in the last stream. It's midnight there? Oh, good evening, good night. How's everyone's full moon? Full moon in Virgo, right? I think. Yeah, feel free. Yeah, listen while you work. Have it on in the background. Yeah, so we're going to be doing open office hours for the next hour or so, depending on how much chat we got going on. And then we're going to switch over to open study, work, reading, crafting time. No sleep on the full moon. That's the worst. Santa Clarita, pretty close to us. Awesome. Yeah, get that work done. Get it. Yeah, I hate when the full moon messes with my ability to function. It happens sometimes. Ugh, but I had a lovely full moon ceremony last night at my altar. Just working on some ongoing spells that I started at the beginning of the year in January. Just continuing those spells. I think I've shown them in a couple of my altar cleaning videos. But yeah, just working on that stuff. Spent a couple hours with that. Oh, it's terrible for a few people. Yeah, feel free to share, guys, if you want to. More about what was intense for you this full moon. Oh, thank you, Lunar Spirit Tarot. I love to hear that. Thank you so much. I love hanging out with you guys. It's been really fun to start live streaming. And I enjoy making all these videos and things, and so I'm glad that they're appreciated. It's nice to hear. But also, reminder, I don't know if anyone saw this in my posts, but we will be starting Tuesday night streams as well. Those will be cozy gaming streams, but those are not starting until not next Tuesday, but the Tuesday after that. So 2 Tuesdays from now, we will start doing that. But these will continue as they've already started. So these will continue every Wednesday. It's Wednesday, right? Migraine for 2 days. Ugh. No fun. No fun at all. Yeah, I actually have been getting some intense headaches as well. Not for the past couple days, but the few days before that, I was getting a lot. So I wonder if that had anything to do with that. Yeah, just a lot of activity. Yeah, sometimes there's just so much going on. You can't rest. Full moon shakes everything up. And another reminder to everyone who is within the Los Angeles area that I will be running an ecstatic dance in Pasadena, California on March 13th. So if you're able to come to that, tickets are on my website, priestessdandelion.com. But yeah, so that's happening. It's going to be so much fun. I'm really excited. I've been working on it more. Worked on it quite a bit last night while I was doing my full moon ceremony, while my candles were burning. I had music playing, and I was just kind of working out the music and the playlist and planning it all out, so it's going to be really fun. The whole theme is kind of spring themed, moving into spring. So it's going to be prosperity in new beginnings. Prosperity in beginnings, abundance and prosperity. It's going to be a lot of fun. I'm really excited to dance with everyone. And it's going to be an ongoing thing, so even if you can't come to this one, there are a lot more to come. And feel free, anybody who's popping into the chat, if you have a question about anything at all. Any questions about anything at all, I'm here to answer them, so you can pop those in the chat if you have anything you want to ask. Tennessee, oh yeah. Yeah, I hope to, I've got some family in Tennessee, actually. Knoxville, Tennessee. Well, near Knoxville, I think. And so I'm hoping to, once I get my dances started here, which I'm doing now, travel around and teach dances in other places. So maybe we'll have a Tennessee dance at some point. I'm going to be in Tennessee this summer, so maybe then. Yeah. Let me think, let me think. Any other announcements that I can think of? Ooh, fun Hecate question. Hell yeah. I've been drawn to Hecate. Do you recommend reading a book on her before working with her? I feel I already work with her in my dream state. Yeah, that is actually a common experience with Hecate, to feel like she's kind of already working with you, especially while you're asleep. So that's actually, I've heard that from a few people who work with Hecate or feel called to work with Hecate. They're like, she's kind of already working with me in my dreams. Yeah, for Hecate, I would say you don't necessarily have to read a book. Honestly, for any deity, I don't really feel like you necessarily have to read a book to start working with them. Of course, it's helpful, and of course you have to be knowledgeable about the deity to begin working with them. But as long as you have a base knowledge of the deity and you feel called to work with them, you've got the green light to go ahead and start working with them. So you can read a book or two before you start working with her, or at least, you know, you could always start working with her and also have a book that you're reading about her slowly as you begin working with her. And then you reading that book is kind of part of you working with her. So that's what I would say. And I have a video on my channel about book recommendations for Hecate, so you can look that up if that's something you want more information on. But yeah, I would say you don't have to. Wondering about if/how you work with Hecate's archetypes during this spring. Ooh, interesting. Good question. You guys bring good questions. I feel like every time you guys are bringing unique, fun questions. Yeah, so working with Hecate's archetypes during this spring. Yeah. Well, I kind of just, you know, as a Wiccan, as somebody who identifies as Wiccan, you know, the seasons are very important to me and to my practice. So what's going on in my practice is always related to whatever season we're in. So as we move into spring, you know, a lot of people think that Hecate is Mother, Maiden, and Crone, but that is not true. That's a common misconception because she is the goddess of the three-way crossroads. But that is just simply meant to represent that she can move through all realms. Life, death, in between. Light, shadow, in between. She is like queen of liminal space. So I don't necessarily too intensely view Hecate as like three separate archetypes. I more so view Hecate as just a being that can move through all of these states of being and all of these realms and dimensions. And that, I kind of want to make a whole video about this Mother, Maiden, Crone concept because it really makes me mad. But the whole Mother, Maiden, Crone concept came from Aleister Crowley, which most people who work in the metaphysical realm in any kind of way, they know that name at least, even if they don't know who he was. But he came up with that concept. So this concept is coming from a man, and pretty recent history too. This is not an old thing. A lot of people think that Mother, Maiden, and Crone is like an old pagan thing. It is not. It is a more recent thing that came from Aleister Crowley. And he created it basically to put women in a box. So even if you think about it and you kind of break it down, basically what they're saying with this Mother, Maiden, Crone concept is that a woman can either be a mother, a young, beautiful maiden, or an old, nasty crone. And that's not equality among the sexes. That's misogynistic for sure. So I don't really like that concept. I tend to throw it out. Whenever somebody brings it up, I try to kind of explain to them why they should not be subscribing to that idea. But yeah, so I don't necessarily view Hecate as one archetype or a few different archetypes. I more so view her as just Hecate. But that being said, in the spring with Hecate, I do a lot of shedding. You know, just like with animals, they come out of their winter coat, you know, they shed their winter coat, or their fur goes from white to brown or whatever. And I try to do the same thing with Hecate's help. So usually in the Deipnons that are like March and April, when we're in that spring transition phase, I usually try to do a lot of shedding things. So I'll give her a lot more dog hair. I'll give her my hair also from my brush when I give her offering on Deipnon. And any non-physical shedding that I need to do, I give her that also. What does an egg yolk mean when it breaks? You know, I don't do a whole lot of egg-related magic, so I'm probably not the best person to ask about that. And it would really depend what kind of spell or ritual or ceremony you're doing, and then the egg breaks. You'd have to really interpret it based off of what you were working on spiritually when that happened. Because it could mean a lot of things. If you want to tell me, Kelly, like what you were doing, like what the circumstances were when you had this egg yolk break, I might be able to try to interpret it a little bit. But again, I don't work with eggs that much beyond giving eggshells as offering, and using eggshells for protection, for like a circle of protection. So oh, hi from France. Oh my god, that's so fun. I love that we have so many people from all different parts of the world beaming in. And I'm happy you can join us, Leah. Deipnon is the day before the actual new moon, right? So this month it would be on the 20th. Deipnon can be the day before the day before the new moon, on the new moon, or the day after the new moon. So that is kind of the vibe with Deipnon. It is best, in my opinion, and again, everybody's practice is different. So you might feel specifically called to do Deipnon the day before the new moon or the day after the new moon. But I typically try to do it on the new moon. But you can do it the day before, and I have done it the day before many, many times. So there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. Yeah, it's said that with the moon phases, you basically have 3 days to capitalize on that energy. The day before, the day of, and the day after. So the same applies for the full moon. If you're doing something full moon related, you have the day before the full moon, the day of the full moon, and the day after the full moon to take advantage of that energy. So the dark moon or the new moon is the same way. It was an offering to Hecate, felt compelled to do it. So you felt compelled to give Hecate an egg, like a straight up egg, and you cracked it and it broke. I assume is what the yolk broke is what I'm understanding. Yeah, I honestly wouldn't put too much weight into that. It could just be nothing. It really could just be egg yolk broke. Sometimes that's just all it is. It's just a physical thing. But it could also be, you know, like we just said, Hecate is liminal space gal. And so having the yolk break could just be a further representation of her as a deity, because she kind of scoops up the messes and consumes them for her own energy. So it could just be her making that offering even more perfect for her. Because if the egg's broken, that's her thing. That's her gig. All that broken stuff, that messiness. So I hope that helps a little bit. Yeah, and you know, that book, Keeping Her Keys, I've heard of that book before, and I have never read it, so I don't, I'm not going to speak about the contents of the book or anything, because I haven't read it. I don't know what I'm talking about. But yeah, some people just view Hecate as a certain thing that's kind of more modernized, and I think you could argue that there's nothing wrong with that. Because, things get modernized, time moves on, time passes, people evolve, societies evolve. But in my opinion, as somebody who's studied like old Hecate, original Hecate, taken classes on original Hecate, I just don't view her that way. And that's also just not my experience of her when I interact with her directly during ceremony and offering and all those things. So yeah, and I just also, the teacher I had was this lovely woman named Scarlett. She teaches classes a lot in this Los Angeles area. She teaches a lot about deities, specifically Lilith and Hecate. She introduced me to both of those deities years ago. And she'll teach classes at this metaphysical shop that's in LA called The Crooked Path. And so if you live in the area and you ever want to keep an eye out for fun classes, The Crooked Path has a lot of fun events and classes, and they always post them on their social media and things. So you can give them a follow. I'm just shamelessly plugging a store that is not paying me. But yeah, she taught me all about Hecate back in the day when I was first discovering her, and she was very adamantly, Hecate is not Mother, Maiden, and Crone. Like, very adamantly about it. So she kind of gave me that. The Elements of Ritual by Deborah Lipp. Yeah, I have a few of their books. I don't think I've read The Elements of Ritual, but I have heard good things. I haven't heard anything bad about it. And I know that Deborah Lipp is a very, from what I know, a reliable source. So I would say, yeah, get all up in that. That sounds good. Maybe I should check that out. Because I'm obsessed with books, as we know. But yeah, I've never read that one. I have heard of it. Wonder why I haven't read it. I have a zillion books on my bookshelf. So it's surprising that it's not one of them. But yeah, I think that book is all about kind of just like breaking ritual down, right? And explaining what makes ritual and making your own rituals and things. But yeah, I've heard good things about it. Good things for sure. Okay, we're 23 minutes in. Isn't it complicated to have lots of deities to take care of? It can be. It can be, for sure. Like anything. When you said that, I thought of, so much of my brain is just movie quotes. And when you said that, I thought of, in Bridesmaids when, she takes 9 puppies from the event where they were giving away puppies, and she's like, I took 9. I should use that sound on TikTok to compare it to me having a zillion deities that I worship. But yeah, it can be complicated, but it also, if it's like, okay, for me for example, oh god, how many deities do I work with? I have to count. Yeah, I work with like double-digit amount of deities. And so yeah, okay, I'm glad you know what scene I'm talking about. I took 9. Probably more comfortable with, what does she say, 6? But yeah, I took 9. I basically did that with deities. I took 9. But I actually work with more than 9 deities. Oh, your cat is calmed by my voice. Oh, I love your cat. What's your cat's name? Okay, but yeah, so it can be overwhelming. It can be a lot to manage for sure. But also, if a deity is coming to you to work with you, it's usually for a reason, and it's usually not going to be more than you can handle. So, and you know, not every deity is as demanding as other deities. Like, Hecate is definitely the most demanding deity I work with, because she wants this every month, and she wants this every whatever, and this and this and this. And if I don't do it, she's a little bit annoyed with me. But like I said, she's the most demanding deity I have. Most of the deities I work with, they're more so simply present. And I work with them once a month, once every like month and a half, and just like as it comes through. Yeah, so it's not as difficult as it may seem, and also, you know, they all want their own things, so just like they're not all the same level of demanding, they don't all want the same things. So, you know, like I work with Sekhmet, but that doesn't look like a lot of extra work, because Sekhmet for me is mostly a protector and a healer in my practice. She supports me in protecting me, and she supports me in healing myself and healing others especially. So when I perform healings on other people, I call on her, and that's working with her. Just inviting her to be present for things is working with her. So, you know, it's not always like a big complicated thing to work with a deity. Sometimes it just fits into your life really nicely, and it's not extra. Or like, you know, I have an altar to Horus and Ra, but I don't necessarily like work with them. I simply have the altar to honor them because I feel their presence very strongly in my life. I live in a neighborhood that has a lot of birds, a lot of unique different kinds of birds too. And we have hawks, and the hawks circle really low over my house a lot. And I wear like the Eye of Horus and stuff like that. So, you know, it's not always super complicated. Her name is Boo, and she's 13 years old. Oh, she's a distinguished woman. Wow, a woman who's wise. Oh, Boo, I love you. I've never met you, but I love you. I hope you have a good nap. Take a nice little cat nap. I'm glad you guys also like Bridesmaids. It's a universal good. Is there any specific mantras or prayer to invoke Goddess Hecate? There are. And they're in books. Like, you know, most books that you get about Hecate, and again, I have that video on my channel about book recommendations for Hecate. But I don't, I'm not much of like a from a book kind of gal. I love books, obviously. Obsessed with books, as is apparent on my channel. But I am not really much into reading like things other people, like reading for my deities, things other people have written. So I usually just kind of go on the fly and say what I want to say in the moment. I have also at times written down something nice myself in my mirror book before the ritual so I can have it ready. But most of the time I just ad-lib in the moment. And that's personal preference. You know, if you want to have something a little bit more grandiose, a little bit more, you know, tried and true, a little bit more widely, like a lot of people are using it, or it's in a book so you feel like, okay, this is legit. And then once you feel a little bit more comfortable with your own confidence spiritually, you can kind of move from that and be like, I'm going to do my own thing. Or maybe you always read the things that are in the book and that works for you. One is definitely not better than the other. It's just like with all spiritual work, it's all personal preference. So there are specific invocations and evocations that you can say to bring Hecate into the space. And like I said, those books that are in that video I made of recommendations on books about Hecate, those books all have those, so if you want to check that out. But I don't know any off the top of my head because I'm more of an ad-libber. And I've also talked about how, in previous videos, I've also talked about I'm also a pretty internal person. Like I'm very auditory, like clairaudient. So I will often hear the deity, or I will hear one little thing. And so I tend to kind of communicate silently a lot. Like I will call on deity silently, or I will thank deity silently, or pray silently, but not always. It depends on the moment. Sometimes I feel like I need to hear it out loud. But yeah, so I'm not always an out loud speaking kind of person. Yeah, all cats do rule the house. They do. Yeah, I've got 3 cats, and it's their house, not mine. It is their house. Their house for sure. Okay, we're about halfway through office hours. Halfway through, 30 minutes in. How do we feel about this lo-fi? I changed it. I like it. I feel like a lot of them are kind of jazzy. I like that. Jazzy vibes. And remember, everybody, you can hit that join button below this video to become a member of my channel. And that's a monthly fee where you get access to members-only perks, like early access to my videos, and you get to vote in members-only polls that decide what I make next, the kind of video I make next. So that's really fun, if you want to hit the join button and help support me. We like it. We like the music. Okay, cool, cool, cool. Awesome. I've been on the hunt for things that aren't copyright, but also are fun. And is anyone else, ooh, Mardi Gras vibe. I've never been to Mardi Gras. Gotta do that. Mardi Gras. I almost fully drank from where the hole isn't. You guys would have just watched me pour a bunch of tea on myself. Which I guess would have been fun for you guys, but not fun for me. Ooh, great question. You guys are the best. Do you have any tips for developing clairaudience? First thing that comes to mind is sit in the silence more. Sit in the silence more and let things come to you. Especially sit in the silence outside. I find that clairaudience can really be well developed when you're outside, just sitting in nature and just listening. And as you listen, you start to hear the layers of the sound, if that makes sense. And you can kind of start to tune into, what am I hearing non-physically? What am I hearing on an energetic level? Yeah, that's the first thing that comes to mind for me. Because I often very strongly feel that the wind outside and the trees moving in the wind, just everything in nature moving with that breath of the earth, is source communicating. I always hear things within that, in those layers. So I would say that's my biggest thing, is practice sitting in that silence. Even inside, you can practice this as well. Just sitting in that silence and allowing things to come to you. Kind of picture yourself as a satellite, not going out to the sounds, but allowing the sounds to come to you. And if you're inside and you're doing this, or even if you're outside and you're doing this, and there are annoying sounds like a dog barking, or a loud AC unit, or a fan, or a truck outside, or somebody mowing the grass, any kind of sound like that, you can start to practice finding the silence. It's one of my favorite practices, is finding the silence. And I think that as an autistic person, a neurodivergent person, even ADHD person, that's a very helpful practice to have, even non-spiritually in life, to be able to find the silence in any situation. Because, you know, as neurodivergent people, a lot of the time sounds are very intense for us and very annoying for us and very noticeable for us. So if we can practice, okay, I'm a satellite. I can hear these sounds are coming into my satellite. How do I find the silence that's always there? Yeah, that's one of my biggest things, I would say. Because once you get used to the silence, you have an easier time noticing when something else comes through. And then the next step beyond that, I would say, is learning to trust that what you're receiving is that. And also knowing your own inner voice and what that sounds like. Because as you practice, okay, that's me thinking that. Okay, I don't think that's my voice. I wouldn't have worded that way. You can start to discern between what is you and what is a message coming through. And everybody receives messages clairaudiently differently, just like every area of spiritual practice. But for me, as I've developed it, I usually hear the voice of the deity as a completely different voice than my own, or the voice of whatever is communicating with me. Because I don't just get deities coming through clairaudiently. I'll get past selves. I'll get, because of my work in the Akashic Records, I'll get, my guides don't really speak. They don't have to speak to communicate with me, so they don't necessarily come through auditorily. They come through more visually and, claircognizantly and clairsentiently, which is clear knowing, is claircognizance, and then clairsentience is just kind of clear sensing. So they more so come through that way, but as you develop your clairaudience, you may start to find that Hecate has a voice, Zeus has a voice, Anubis has a voice. Like, they all have their own distinct voices that they'll come through as for you to understand what they're saying. But yeah, I hope that helps. I would say sit in the silence, practice finding the silence. Kelly, I would say that would work for that as well, for telepathy, kind of practicing that. Because you really have to have a strong grasp on what is my voice? What is my inner voice? What are my thoughts? And what is obviously not me? Because that makes it so much easier. Yeah, that totally resonates with me, for sure. Yeah, definitely try the silence thing. You could even practice, if you have music playing, practice finding the silence under the music. That's a great way to practice it, is to have that music playing and start trying to shift your focus away from the music and into the silence that is beneath the music. What are your ways for daily protection? Do you have talismans, daily prayers, or maybe something else? Yeah, great question. Again, you guys have great questions every single time. Excellent questions. But yeah, so first thing I would say that comes to mind is every morning I wake up, I immediately go to my altar. It's the first thing I do. Or the bathroom, depending on, you know, if I have a pressing bathroom need. But I'm always at my altar first thing in the morning, right after I wake up. And even if I'm just there for a minute, that's where I go first. And I always, I say my morning Reiki principles, because as a Reiki practitioner and a Reiki master, those are principles that I took a vow to live by. So I always say my Reiki principles aloud to myself. I usually also say a little prayer, depending on what the day has coming for me, the day has in store. I'll say different things. I'll ask for protection, or I'll ask for power, or I'll ask for abundance, or I'll ask for strength, or whatever it is, or just for them to be present. Or sometimes I don't ask for anything. I just say, hey, I love you. Thank you. Let's have a good day. May this day be in honor of you. You being source, divinity, every single one of the guides and deities and spirits that I work with. And that is the first kind of layer of each day, protection and things. And then after that, I would say jewelry. Jewelry's a big thing for me. I always have this ring on. I don't know if it'll refocus. I always have this ring on. Eye of Horus, and then Ankh on the sides. So that is kind of my biggest protection, is this ring. Because the Eye of Horus and the Ankh are eternal life and protection. And I had Horus bless this. I asked Horus to bless this. And he actually brought this ring to me. I was not planning to buy anything like this, and he put it in my path. And it perfectly fit this finger. And basically since I bought it, I haven't taken it off except for to sleep or shower or anything like that. So jewelry is a big thing for me with protection. Because you can ask the deity, whatever deity you work with for protection, to bless it and embody that piece of jewelry. So as you wear it, they are with you. And I also have several different necklaces that are all connected to different beings. And they all have different purposes. So these ones are also ancient Egyptian. This top one is a scarab beetle, and the bottom one is an Ankh. So the Ankh, again, eternal life, protection. And then the scarab beetle is connected to Anubis. So these necklaces for me are Horus, Ra, Anubis. Yeah, so that's kind of the big thing, I would say, for me, is jewelry and wearing things that make me feel protected as well as they do energetically protect me. And then, because I also have a Mary Magdalene necklace that's connected to her, and that's also protective, but that's also for spiritual power. I wear that when I'm doing something that I need more spiritual power for, and I want her to be present for, because she's very much a teacher of mine. She has taught me a lot of spiritual things, as all my deities have, but Mary Magdalene especially. Do you think there's anything else? Yeah, and then I would also say I love to use magical sprays, herbal sprays, for protection. So I have a video on my channel about how to make magical sprays. If you haven't checked that out, you can look that up on my channel. But yeah, magical sprays are really great for things like that. I have one that is self-love and protection. So it's filled with herbs and spices and things like that that are have the properties of protection. So I will spray that above my energy field, 3 sprays, whenever I'm needing some protection. Sometimes I'll do it just first thing in the morning, or I'll do it before I leave the house. Some people even keep an herbal spray in their car. So that's something you could do too, is keep a protective herbal spray in your car. Kind of spray yourself, spray your car. Yeah, so I'd say sprays also. And then, of course, crystals. We talked about crystals quite a bit in the last stream. And I said in that stream, I'm not a big crystal person. I'm not, like, super knowledgeable about crystals. I don't specialize in crystals. But I do use crystals, and I love crystals. I'm so sorry. If anybody watches Drag Race, I love Crystal. You'll get the joke if you watch Drag Race. But, uh, neurodivergent tangent. But I use crystals a lot for protection also. So I will wear the crystal or hold the crystal with me, or give a crystal to a deity as offering to ask that deity to protect me. Like, actually just yesterday, I think, no, the day before, Monday. Yeah, just Monday, a friend of mine was needing some protection and gave her a specific crystal, a red jasper, because that's the deity, that's the crystal that's associated with Sekhmet. So, and Sekhmet's a very strong protective deity. She's a mother lion. You know, she protects her kittens very fiercely. So I gave her that crystal as protection. Said, wear this, hold it with you, keep it in your pocket, whatever. Hold it in your hand while you need that protection. And call on Sekhmet to be with you. So yeah, those are my little protection-y things that I do in my daily life. Deity Isis also has been coming to me. I can't find much information on her. Any tips to help? Yeah, Isis is super cool. Love Isis. Very strong, very powerful. Strong mother spirit, but also strong magical energy. Like, very powerful. And yeah, I do have a video on my channel about Isis. So if you haven't checked that out, that is on my channel. All the basics of Isis. I also tell a couple of her mythological stories in that. But yeah, Isis is, you know, she's just power. Power. She is the most important goddess within ancient Egyptian culture. Of course, you know, ancient Egypt was around for a very long time, and as time went on, different deities became more important and less important, and, you know, the meaning of the deities shifted and flowed as the culture did. But, because Bastet used to be kind of the main deity of Egypt, and then it kind of, with time, shifted to Isis, and Isis has remained the most important goddess within the ancient Egyptian pantheon. So Isis is very important, very strong powers, very strong magical powers. She's, like, she can amplify anything you're working on. And she is, you know, like, some of the quick, immediate stories about Isis. She, you know, she's married to Osiris, is her husband. And Osiris is, you know, there's that whole story where, and again, I tell this in the Isis video. So if you want to check that out and hear the whole story, all nice and succinct, you can check that video out. But Osiris was tricked by Set, who's the Egyptian god of chaos and shadow. And Set separates his body into a bunch of little pieces and scatters it around the Nile. There's also a story where, there's a version of the story where Set puts the pieces of Osiris in a tree, but basically he just kills Osiris and disappears him. And Isis saves Osiris, brings Osiris's pieces back together, pieces him back together, gives them to Anubis, who performs the first mummification on Osiris. Osiris becomes the first mummy. Basically, Isis and Anubis together resurrect Osiris. So very, very powerful goddess. Ooh, Isis Oracle, fun. I bet that's a really pretty oracle. Yeah, thank you for sharing, Ebony. Yeah, always good with a deity to just connect with her yourself. Connect with them yourself. Just get your first impression yourself. And then if you want to study them from there, like from books and from other people, then that's really fun. But yeah, always good to get a first meeting just directly from that deity without any preconceived notions about them. But yeah, so Isis also, you know, she's a fierce protector also, and doesn't put up with any shit. Also in that Isis video, I tell the story that connects Isis to scorpions, because that is a being that strongly represents Isis as scorpions. She is a scorpion. So that's kind of the vibe of her, is that scorpion, like stinging, like danger in the front, danger in the back. Just really tough. But yeah, she is really, really powerful. So I would say just, but she's also very safe in my experience. You know, we've talked a lot about, on my channel, with us constantly talking about Hecate and Lilith. They're very strong and powerful, but they can also be very intense. And they can be a lot for a beginner. And they're also the type of deity that will let you know if they're annoyed with you. Never in a dangerous way, but just in a, you didn't do what you said you were gonna do, or I was expecting this from you and it hasn't come yet, what's going on? Or you're not listening to what I taught you, shame. So they're a little bit more advanced in my opinion. But also, like I've said before, that doesn't mean you can't work with them at any stage of your practice. You can always approach them, especially if they're approaching you at any stage in your practice. But with a deity like Isis, you don't really have to worry about that with her, because she is very, she has that good, at least in my experience, again, you know, with every deity, everybody has a different experience of that deity. Because deities can present themselves to people as whatever that person needs, or whatever that person will be able to receive. So she is not as, you don't have to be as worried about her, because she's much more gentle when she needs to be. She has that, a little bit more of that motherly spirit. Do you have to have statues to represent your deities? No. Not at all, Kelly. You totally do not have to have statues to represent your deities. I personally am a big statuary person, as you can tell from all my altars. I love finding a piece of statuary that really resonates with me for that deity, really represents how I see that deity, and using it to honor them and pay homage to them and give them offering in front of that image of them and all those things. So that's just me. But you totally don't have to have a statue to represent a deity that you're creating an altar for. Like, you can use a candle to represent a deity. You can use a crystal to represent a deity. You can use something you found in nature to represent a deity. You can really use anything. Like, the list is endless. There is no limit. The limit does not exist. But yeah, another really good question. Yeah, whatever feels right to you in your practice. Yeah, Ebony. Oh, yes. I love that you said that. Beautiful. Hecate is like the darker feminine of Isis. Yeah, it's so true. Yeah, and you have to think about pantheon-wise. You know, we're all working with the same energies. This is my belief. You know, I think a lot of people agree, but again, this is my belief. So if you don't agree, I'm happy for you and I'm happy for me. We can all have our thoughts. That's what's fun about spirituality, is none of us are right and all of us are right. But yeah, deities are, you know, within different pantheons, we're all working with the same energy. It's just packaged differently. Like I said, you know, deities approach us or communicate with us in ways that we can receive. So if you feel mostly connected to this type of pantheon, then that energy, that deity is going to come through in that way. And then that energy or that deity is going to come through in a different way for that person over there, because they need it differently. So just like with, yeah, like you said, Ebony, just like with Hecate and Isis, they're very similar, but they're different pantheons. They come from different cultures. So they're very similar energies. Oh, Amanda, my heart goes out to you. I feel you. So I have a video on my channel about being in the broom closet. And disclaimer, I don't love that term, but it is kind of the widely accepted term within the online pagan community. So I will use it just so people know what I'm talking about, and because there's no other kind of quick term I could use to describe that. But yeah, so I have some good tips in that video on how to practice, but keep it kind of to yourself in secret for your own protection, because you can't openly practice in your living situation. But first of all, I'm so sorry that you have that situation. That's such bullshit. You should be able to practice your spirituality, your religion, your whatever openly, no matter what. So I'm really sorry that you don't have that. I hope you will have that in the near future. But I would say, you know, if you want to have altars to them, shoe boxes are really great. You can put them away when you're not using them. You can take them out when you're ready to use them. They have a lid. Nobody's ever going to see a shoebox and think, what's in there? It's just a shoebox. They'll assume that it's just a shoebox. So nobody's going to be like looking through your shoeboxes and like find your altar. That's a big thing, I would say. Hide your altars in boxes and things. You can also do like they make like little under your bed pull out shelves and cabinets and things. You could get some of those too and put your altars in those shelves. Same with like a dresser. You could have a drawer that's your altars in that drawer, so you can close it. That's a little bit more risky if somebody's going to be coming in your room and like looking at your clothes and things, or putting your laundry away or anything like that. So if you have to worry about that, maybe a drawer isn't as good of an option. And also, you know, one of our greatest powers as spiritual people, as witches, as whatever you want to identify as, is that people don't understand what we're doing. Like non-magical people who don't practice magic, or any form of energetic spirituality, they don't know what it looks like. Often they have no concept of what it looks like. So you can use that to your advantage to get away with things because they don't even know how to identify what you're doing. So, you know, have altars that don't seem like altars. You know, like, what deities did you list? Yeah, like, one of the deities you list is Bastet. Just get a little statue of a cat. Like, it doesn't have to be an Egyptian statue of a cat. Any kind of little something of a cat. Just like, and then people would just think, oh, you like cats, you're a cat person, you got a cute little cat decor item. But you know it's honoring Bastet, and Bastet will know that it's for her. So nobody would ever think anything of that. Or like with Anubis, just get a little dog. And then Hecate and Lilith. For Lilith, you could just have like a little, anything owl related is really good for Lilith, or snake related. Same with Hecate. She's also a snake girl. So, you know, trick people. Trick them. These Christians, they don't know. They don't know anything about witchcraft. They don't understand how to recognize it. They're not familiar with it. So if you are doing it in a smart way, it's kind of under the radar, they don't know what the hell you're doing. Oh, your mom found your shoebox. Oh, that's the worst. I hope it was okay. Oh, yeah. New shoes and a place for your altar. 2 birds, 1 stone. That's great. Okay, everybody. We're about to hit an hour. So last call for questions, comments, topics you guys want to discuss. And then we will take a short break. And then we'll come back and we'll have open study hall. So last call for questions, anything anybody wants to say. Yeah, and thank you guys so much for showing up and asking your questions and bringing your comments. It's really, really great. I have lots of snake around my house. Can I do anything to honor Lilith and Hecate? Yeah, definitely. Yeah, if you live in an environment that has a lot of snake activity, that's Hecate Lilith City. Cauldron for Hecate and crystals for her. Yeah. Yeah, the cauldron is a really great image connected to Hecate because she is that moving between realms, in between liminal space gal. The cauldron is, you know, a place of creation and destruction, just like the womb. So Hecate very strongly is connected to the cauldron. That's a great way to honor her. Ooh, Medusa. You know, I've actually been, I've gotten a lot of requests lately for Medusa. For me to make a deity spotlight on Medusa. So that's going to be coming soon. And Medusa is one that I've been very interested in for a long time, but have never worked with. I never feel her presence very strongly for me. But I do have a lot of interest in her. She's very cool. So I've actually been doing research for a video about Medusa, so that will be coming soon. But if anybody works with Medusa, respond in the chat to Amanda. Crystals for Anubis. Yeah, what is the crystal I have on Anubis's altar right now? I can't recall. Yeah, obsidians are good. Yeah, Leah. Obsidians are good. I would say bloodstone would be good too. Yeah, anything death related. Yeah, Medusa's highly misunderstood. And really, you know, if we look at Medusa from a feminist gender equality lens, she gets so much more complicated and interesting, which is kind of what I've been doing for part of my studies. So yeah, that's going to be coming soon. I'm not sure if it'll be the next one or the one after that, but I'm going to try to kind of film a few in one day so we're all stocked up, and then I can just roll them out to you guys. And also my sister and I just, this weekend, we filmed another episode of baking. So that'll be coming soon too. A little bit of silliness. Ooh, creativity from Medusa. Yeah, I've heard that she's a very strong creative energy. She helped me once with relationships. It helped out and gave me courage to stand up. Yeah. Love to hear that, Kelly. Thank you, Medusa. Yes, girl. Yeah, she's a fierce one for sure. I bet working with her is really cool. 'Cause she seems like she'll turn you to stone. Oh yeah, it can be good with Egyptian deities to think about what was used in ancient Egypt. What were the crystals that they had in ancient Egypt? Yeah, so lapis is a good one. A lot of that blue in ancient Egyptian creations. Same with like they had a lot of turquoise, I believe. Yeah, so yeah, thinking about what crystals are around in that society is really helpful too. Yeah, another really sexual deity too. Yeah, a lot of these badass lady deities, they're very sexually empowered, and that's really awesome to work with. Oh my god, yes, Ebony! Turn men to stone in the you-know-where area. Oh, we know where, yes. Yeah. Oh, that's a good power. Yeah, and the head full of snakes. And snakes get a bad rap. You know, like going back to the dawn of Christianity with the Garden of Eden, snakes have been demonized because snakes represent feminine power. So they took the snake, and they made it evil. They made it sinful. They made it of hell, of the devil. When snakes are just a representation of feminine power, feminine sexual empowerment, and all of that. It's like the same with Friday the 13th. Used to be a day of honoring women and honoring deity, goddesses specifically. But Christians decided it was a scary day, an evil day. Because they're scared of ladies. Because they're scared of us. Ah! They're terrified. They're shaking in their boots. Oh, that's lovely, Amanda. You keep feeling a lot of feminine energy like a mother would and masculine energy like a father, too. Oh, that's so lovely. Yeah, oh, love a little Medusa chat. A little badass goddesses chat. Okay, everybody. Let's take a short break. Quick little 3-5 minute break. Stretch your legs. Drink some water. Get a snack. Whatever you need to do. Get your work ready. Get your books. Whatever you need. Get your craft you're working on. Your, anything you're doing. Yes, I'm excited to make the video on her. I've been having a lot of fun researching Medusa. Yeah, aquamarine. Yeah, that's a good one. Good crystal. Yeah, so let's take a short little break, and then we'll come back, and we will start our open study hall. We good? All right. I'll be right back. Hey, hey, I'm back. Welcome in, Romina. Hello. Okay. So, open study time. So I'll leave the lo-fi on. Just like last time, we'll have the music playing. If you want to mute us so that you can just focus on what you're doing and play your own music, or you are working on something that has sound, then you can mute the video and just have the video up so you can see us all working together, supporting you, and holding space for whatever you're working on as we work. Or you can have the audio on and enjoy the lo-fi. I'll have it continuing to play through the whole stream. So that is up to you. You guys can feel free to chat with each other as I'm working. I'm gonna try not to pay attention to the chat, just so I can get my work done. But I will pop back on every once in a while and catch up on chat when I take a break from working. Sure, yeah. Anything else? Oh, also, we forgot to talk about our little cat here, our little stream cat. If you haven't heard, her name is Hexa. H-E-X-E. It's German. It's pronounced Hexa. And she will do little things when you subscribe, when you join, when you send a super chat. So, if you want to see Hexa do something cute, do one of those things. And feel free to say hi to her in the chat. She's our virtual pet. Ooh, reading on animal communication. Nice. Nice, that sounds fun. Okay guys, so I'm gonna get to work. I invite you all to get to work on anything that you're doing, and hope it is productive for you. Okay, I'm back to answer a question. So Ebony, basically what we're doing here, we just started a couple weeks ago, but basically what we're doing here, the whole idea is that we all can work on anything that we've got going on. Maybe you're in school and you're studying for something, you've got homework to do. Maybe you work from home. Maybe you're an artist and you're working on a piece of some kind of project. Maybe you're crafting, you've got something you're knitting or something you're drawing or anything like that. Maybe you're reading a book, you're doing spiritual study on something, anything like that. Basically, this is a space where we can all come together from wherever we are and support each other in that. So I don't know if you've heard of body doubling, but it's something that neurodivergent people can really benefit from, but everybody can benefit from it. And that's where basically you get in a space together and you all do the same thing, but you're not having to interact with each other. It's kind of a way to support each other in getting done whatever it is you need to get done without having to be by yourself in it, and makes it a little bit more fun. We all support each other through it. So basically, yeah, if you want to use this time to clean, you know, have the video on while you clean, have the video on while you read, have the video on while you work, while you study, anything. We're all just here together working on whatever we've got going on. So yeah, does that make sense? But yeah, that's basically what we're doing here. It's just kind of like a big study hall. Basically modeled it after, like when I was in high school, study halls were just like a free-for-all. You'd have people working on schoolwork and people practicing for their extracurriculars and people just messing around and people just hanging out, people knitting, you know, whatever it is you want to do. So this is just open space for us all to support each other in whatever we've got going on. I today am going to be working on a video that I'm going to be posting on my channel. It's the vlog from my recent trip to Costa Rica where I was at an ecstatic dance retreat. So that's what I'm working on my computer, working on some video editing. So you guys can work on whatever you've got going on, whatever you need to get done. Yeah. So I hope that answers your question. But yeah, that's the vibe we've got going. So I'm gonna get to it. Great, yay, welcome. I'm happy you guys are here.